Kremlin was going to escalate if we provided Javelin, if we provided Stinger, if we provided HIMARS, if we provided Patriot, if we provided Bradley, if we think differently about Crimea, not as a big blue arrow that's going to go and attack it in the old-fashioned way, but instead isolating it by destroying the only two links that connect Crimea back to Russia. One, obviously, is the Kerch Bridge. And notice the Russians did not do anything after the Kerch Bridge was severely damaged. I mean, they couldn't escalate after that. They're trying to repair it, but I'm sure the Ukrainians will revisit that Kerch Bridge again. And then the other line of communication is the so-called land bridge that runs from Rostov down through Mariupol, Melitopol to Crimea. Sever both of those with long-range precision fires, and then you start making Crimea untenable. There's nowhere to hide. Sevastopol, Zhankoy, Zaki, all the big places, ATACMS, ground-launched small diameter bombs, Gray Eagle, that place becomes untenable. The Russians won't be able to operate from there.
Retired Lieutenant General Ben Hodges discusses the multifaceted approach required to liberate Crimea from Russian occupation. General Hodges emphasizes the importance of targeted air and land attacks aimed at isolating the peninsula and disrupting crucial Russian connections, such as the Kerch Bridge. He acknowledges Ukraine's demonstrated ability to sabotage the bridge, severing a vital link, and suggests the use of long-range precision strike weapons, such as ATACMS missiles, to further undermine the Russian presence. General Hodges highlights the strategic significance of isolating Crimea and employing diverse long-range systems to make it unsustainable for Russian forces, ultimately forcing their retreat. However, he expresses concerns about potential repercussions, given President Putin's past nuclear threats aimed at safeguarding Russia's territorial integrity. The battle for Crimea extends beyond its immediate context, holding broader implications for regional stability and international relations. It symbolizes Ukraine's struggle for sovereignty and reflects the underlying tensions between Russia and Western world. Andriy Zagradnyuk, Ukraine's former defense minister, shares the belief that Ukraine's freedom from Russian aggression hinges on the liberation of Crimea. He argues that Ukraine's successes on the battlefield serve as evidence of its capability to reclaim the peninsula, underscoring the need for international support. President Vladimir Zelensky echoes this sentiment and vows to expel Russian forces from all occupied territories, including Crimea. His plea for assistance at the World Economic Forum underscores the significance of Crimea to Ukraine's national identity and emphasizes the urgency of the situation, calling for advanced weaponry and support from Western nations. The recent provision of military aid from the United States and Europe not only strengthens Ukraine's defense capabilities, but also enhances the potential for territorial recovery, including Crimea. Ukraine's refusal to recognize the annexation and the reception of advanced weaponry are essential steps in countering Russian forces and exerting pressure for their withdrawal from Crimea. Listen what General Hodges has to say.
I think that Ukrainian General Staff realizes that they can pretty much hold Russia with what they have already, obviously at great cost. So doing what we would doctrinally call economy of force, holding that back, that should give the Ukrainian General Staff the confidence that they can build up a large armored force that is trained, logistically ready, and it's built around Ukrainian armored vehicles plus captured Russian vehicles, and increasingly Western armored vehicles, and probably something in the strength of a division, an armored division, so 3 or 4 brigades that would be used in a penetration of these linear Russian defenses between the Dnipro River and Mariupol or Zaporizhia or Melitopol, with the objective being to isolate Crimea, so drive direct towards Sea of Azov. And now you have severed with land forces that land bridge, and then in there you exploit that. Then you can bring in HIMARS and you can start pounding away on Crimea. I am skeptical about the ability of Russia to start all over here. There is talk about a Russian offensive, about a new mobilization, but that was such a cluster last September. I don't know if they've repaired or fixed all the problems of last fall's partial mobilization. We'll see. Having thousands of troops, of course, does not equal a real threat if they're not backed up by more artillery, tanks, those other kind of combat capabilities. And I don't know what they've got still in the locker that they can bring out. So at this point, I'm skeptical about the reality of a major Russian threat that could seriously change the dynamics on the ground. But the problem with time is not that Ukraine will lose the will, but that the West loses the will. And so I think the Ukrainians are looking at the calendar and they see, here's an opportunity. We could liberate Crimea by the end of August. That's the decisive bit. And then we can turn our attention to what's left in Donbass. And of course, once Crimea is gone, there will be a lot of internal issues going on inside Russia. And I think the willingness of people to continue fight and die in Donetsk and Luhansk for Russia will drop off dramatically.
The region of Crimea holds significant strategic importance for both Russia and Ukraine due to its geographical location, historical context, and military assets. This strategic significance has been a key factor in the ongoing conflict between the two countries. For Russia, Crimea has long been considered a crucial asset. Historically, it has served as a vital naval base for the Russian Black Sea Fleet, providing Russia with access to the Black Sea and projecting power in the region. The peninsula's location also offers Russia the ability to control important sea lanes and trade routes. Moreover, the annexation of Crimea in 2014 was seen by Russia as a means to secure its influence in the region, protect its military interests, and reinforce its territorial claims. In addition to its military value, Crimea holds symbolic and emotional significance for Russia. The peninsula is deeply rooted in Russian history and culture, and it is associated with Russia's imperial past. President Vladimir Putin has emphasized Crimea's importance as a holy land for Russia, reinforcing the emotional attachment and the belief that the region should be under Russian control. For Ukraine, Crimea represents an integral part of its territory and national identity. Prior to the annexation, Crimea was an autonomous republic with Ukraine. Its loss has had significant political, economic, and social implications for the country. Ukraine views the return of Crimea as a matter of national sovereignty and a fundamental part of its long-term survival. The region also holds economic importance as it is rich in natural resources and has potential for tourism development. Strategically, the control of Crimea provides Ukraine with access to the Black Sea and plays a role in shaping its defense capabilities. With Crimea under Russian control, Ukraine's ability to project power in the region is limited, as Russian military assets, including naval bases and airfields, are stationed there. Regaining control of Crimea would not only strengthen Ukraine's territorial integrity, but also enhance its security posture and expand its influence in the Black Sea.